So it's possible that I may have said a few times that you should not do link building.
You absolutely positively have to stop building links to your blogs.
Link building is a complete waste of your time. If you're doing it, it's time to stop and do this instead.
In fact, link building can be really dangerous.
But today I have a confession. I decided to try a service that does link building. Let me show you how it's going. So how did this come to be, you may be asking? Well, basically what happened is a while back, Mark from Niche Website Builders reached out to me, super nice guy. And I met with Adam. We were able to record a podcast together for their podcast. It went really well. We had a fantastic conversation. I really liked talking to these guys, but they decided that they wanted to see if, maybe I'd be a good fit as someone they could sponsor, maybe be an affiliate, and they wanted me to try out one of their services. Here's the problem though. A lot of the things that they offer, several of the things they offer, kind of fall a little bit outside how I like to build my websites and how I primarily teach you to build your websites. Nothing against them, nothing against that approach. They've got one service that I thought, I'm gonna give this a try because it's a done-for-you Haro service. So they gave me an opportunity to do a case study trying out their Haro service. And that's kind of where we're at now. I've been doing it for a few months and I wanna share with you a little bit about how it's going. If you don't know, this is Haro. You sign up, you can either be a journalist or a source or both, right? We're bloggers, so we're journalists, right? You might want other people to be experts and be sources in some of your content. But also, we like to be a source because that's how we get the backlink, right? That's how we build the authority. So you sign up as a source, sign up for whichever categories within Haro that you want, and you'll get these emails every day that just list out like a whole bunch of different requests from journalists where they have a question, and you look at one of these and you look what the query is and you reply with a pitch. Now, what I discovered is it takes a lot of work. It takes a whole bunch of pitching to actually ever end up getting a link, especially if you have a blog that doesn't have a strong domain authority. Now, when we talk about domain authority or domain rating, these are numbers that are kind of arbitrary. They're made up, they're created, I'll just call them proprietary to different tools. Ahrefs has their own, Moz has one. I mean, they've all got a number that essentially is a measurement of your backlink profile. It doesn't have a way to systematically look at other forms of authority at all. If you have a low domain authority, a lot of these sites will say, you know what, we don't really want to quote you on our article. We want to give a backlink to a higher domain authority site. You see, this is kind of a chicken and an egg problem. And so the earlier you are in the process of using Haro, the harder it is to be successful. So having this done for you actually feels like a really, really cool opportunity. I want to dive in a little bit more now to this experience to tell you, I guess, just how to be the most successful with it possible. So back to my story for just a second, after a little bit of prodding, their team was able to finally get me to sign up for a time to actually go meet with them and provide them with all the details that they would need to be able to get started running this service for me. We set up that meeting, I met with the team, they're just fantastic. Every single person that I've worked with has been just great. They've provided me with answers to all the questions I had. They were very, very knowledgeable about Haro. They've done a great job of so many different things. And basically what they did is they asked me a bunch of questions about the website, about who was going to be the face of the website. In many cases, bloggers are using a persona. It's not a real person, but rather someone that they've kind of made up that is kind of who's the face of the website. In my case, we were using an actual person. The website that we chose was cookforfolks.com. This is a site that you may have seen. It's one we show pretty often. And on Cook for Folks, there are two people who show up on the site, me and Anna. So Anna is the face of the website primarily, and she's the person that they're using. So they asked me to put together a short little biography of her, and they needed a headshot, and I provided all of that information for them, and they're able to start making those pitches on my behalf. Now, they're very clear right up front that this process starts off very slow. You start pitching, and it can take a few weeks before you actually get a link from those initial pitches. And so it's always kind of on a little bit of a delay. But also, the earlier you are in the process, again, because of low domain authority typically, you aren't gonna get as many, but over time it kind of snowballs and you start to get more and more and more. They do have a promised output. So they're like, we're gonna get you, 5 do follow links from sites with the domain authority above a certain number, a certain threshold. Any other links that we happen to get, they're free. They're not part of kind of our minimum that we're going to provide for you. The links are coming. They're starting to pick up. It's actually really funny. In that first meeting that I had with them, one of the things that they told me, they had already gone and looked at the site. They had already gone and run some reports, probably using a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush. But they'd already done kind of a backlink profile. They'd already looked at what kinds of things I was ranking for. And the comment they gave me was, this site has a really low domain authority, but you're already ranking for a lot of keywords. And I had to laugh inside. I didn't say anything because this person was clearly actually not familiar with who I am, as well as the approach that I take to creating these content websites. I was thinking, yes, exactly, that's the point. Domain authority as measured by those tools is only a measure of backlink profile. It's not a measure of actual authority or of just how well a website's actually going to be able to rank. So as time has passed, these links have started to roll in a little bit. I mean, fairly slowly at first, but they send me this spreadsheet, right? And it's got all of the different pitches that they've pitched, as well as all the links that have been generated. 192 pitches, 192. And I have 4 do follow links from sites that meet their minimum criteria. There are more links than that, and the rest of them are free, which is fantastic. That just goes to show how much effort it takes, and that's why most of us don't do this consistently and don't get a lot of benefit out of Haro, is simply because it does take a lot of effort. But the results that I've been getting so far, they speak to exactly why I believe what I believe about link building versus authority building. Let me show you just a few examples. These aren't totally cherry-picked. I'm gonna show some really good ones, as well as a couple that I found really funny. So this was the very first link that we got. It was on this website, Morning Laziness. There's a no follow link. So from an SEO standpoint, no benefit, right? But it's still a link. Readers of this article can still click through. It gives us a little bit of name recognition. So, I'm okay with that, right? But this is an article that has nothing to do with cooking, right? It's not, the website is Cook for Folks. We want authority in the cooking space. But this is an article about 11 bizarre things on Amazon that people actually bought. And this one is actually one we have to laugh about, and we do fairly often internally here. So here we go. This is the section where they quote Anna, supposedly, right? It says, one of the strangest things I bought from Amazon was chop sabers. My partner loves Star Wars an unimaginable amount. Is actually really, really funny to envision him when I'm reading this, right? And after many years of marriage, again, notice I said he's actually her fiance, I had run out of original gifts to get him for his birthday. And as a foodie, I thought I would search on Amazon for utensils and came across these light up chopsticks. Light up chopsticks. He likes them the most. He likes to make the most of them by switching off the light and eating in the dark with only his chop sabers to light the way. And every time we read that, Anna just kind of buries her head and she's like, oh my gosh, that's so not who she is, right? It's not who he is. It doesn't represent her at all. And in fact, people who read her blog and who follow her on social media, they know these things about her. So this actually then raises eyebrows for anybody who is actually familiar with Anna. And as we build real authority over time, that recognition will become greater and greater and greater. And as random people come across content like this, that doesn't represent who she is at all, that just raises eyebrows. That just is like, did these people just like make this up and just use her name? No, actually, this was quoted and provided to the publisher by somebody who was acting on our behalf. Now, I asked them about this, and what I was told was, you know what? Most of the people we work with, the vast majority, are using personas for their blogs. And in fact, their recommendation is to use multiple personas, like 2 or 3 different people that, 2 or 3 different faces for the blog, right? Different authors of content. And that way they can quote different people. And probably makes their job a little bit easier because they can apply a persona that's the best fit for the pitch they're trying to make. But also it gives them a little more leeway because it's not a real person whose life they have to try to incorporate into some of these blog posts. Let me show you another example. This is an article called Love Letters to Mothers from Around the World. And in it, there's this little segment of a letter from Anna to her mother. And she talks about how she's inspired from her grandmother's love of cooking and, has created a career based on her passion for that. And she says, as someone who has lived in a different country from my mom for a couple of years now, I do find that it can sometimes be difficult to stay in touch over stressful periods of time. The irony is that Hannah's mother lives about an hour away and has for a long time. Again, something easily verifiable by most people on social media, especially because Anna goes home fairly regularly and likes to post on social media. So once again, eyebrow raiser. So here is the criticism that I get when I talk about link building. Because in a recent video, I did talk about how link building isn't the right approach, but instead we should do certain activities that build authority. And then I listed some of those. The irony there is that some of those activities are the same sorts of activities that other people are pitching as the best link building strategies of today, like using services like Haro to get quoted. So the criticism I get is, it's just semantics, man. You call it authority, other people call it link building, but it's the same activity. This is why it's not the same activity. If your goal is link building, you get this link and that's the end of it. It doesn't matter. You got the link. And if it's a do follow link and it's from a more authoritative website, all the better, right? Because you got the link juice. That was the goal. If your goal is real authority, if your goal is brand recognition, if your goal is to build expertise, authoritativeness, and what's the third one? Trustworthiness, it helps to tell the truth. And in order to do that, we have to actually build the authority. Haro can be a fantastic resource for building that authority, and even outsourcing some of the work for doing something like Haro, it can be done, but it needs to be done in a good way. Now, this, again, I said I'd share some other examples. There are several here that are quite good. Here's one, an article about a hero lover's guide to buying hero meat. And it's got a quote here from Anna that talks about a great place to go online to buy hero meat at this other, this online store where you can buy meat. And she tells about it, kind of promotes it a little bit. Again, though, my concern with that is, while it does fit her niche, and while it's on brand, right? The problem is now Anna's name is being associated with a product that she may or may not actually want to be associated with. Ideally, we would pick which products we want to recommend, and we would recommend them on our own site as affiliates. Instead, another website has leveraged Anna's name to promote the product they want to promote. You see how that might not be the best thing for your brand in the long term? Again, I'm not criticizing these guys. They're doing this exactly the way the industry says it should be done. They're doing it a great job, as a matter of fact, and delivering on all of their promises. I'm going to show you another one here. This is from a website that people will recognize. As we scroll down here, we find hers. She's not promoting a product that she doesn't want to be associated with. She's not sharing personal life stories that are they're totally fabricated. Instead, she's just providing advice about cleaning an induction cooktop. And I think that that's fine. I do think it's kind of funny that she says to wait for the stove to cool, because induction cooktops, the point is that they don't get hot, but I guess they would still get warm because the pan above them is warm. So still wait for it to cool, I guess. But again, this isn't advice that she gave. It's advice that someone gave on her behalf. There are a lot of niches where you wouldn't want other people giving advice on your behalf unless those other people were just in lockstep, knew exactly what you would say. Let me give you an example of that. First of all, when I was offered this case study, the first thought I had was, well, I certainly would never outsource Haro for income school, because the principles I want to teach for income school, if they're going to do them in my name, they certainly need to be the things I would say. And I didn't have confidence that I could outsource that to a third party and have them actually say what I would say. However, if I had a team member, even a part-time team member or a virtual assistant, who was trained on just how to do Haro and they knew how to do this, I'm not sure they'd be able to do as good a job of pitching as somebody like Niche Website Builders, because they've worked out a process that allows them to get approved more often than probably somebody who's not done it before. However, the things that would be said, the quotes that would be given, the types of articles that we would try to be quoted in would be a better fit. And the quotes themselves would be more accurate and be a better reflection of what I would say. Okay, so let me tie all this all together, because I've been really complimentary of the service. I've been really complimentary of Niche Website Builders, but I haven't been super complimentary of the actual outcomes in some ways. And here's why. When we go into these activities with the mentality that we're building links, we get links like these. Some of them have been from high domain authority websites. They're do follow links. They're great from an SEO standpoint. And some of them have been reasonably on brand. And even that's pretty awesome, considering that, they didn't get those quotes from us. They've just worked based off the profile that we gave them. But we're also getting links that are pretty far off base. And I think that happens when link building is the goal. When the mentality is, let's build authority, let's build a brand, let's build some recognition, let's build EAT. If that's the goal, our behavior changes. And we put in the work that we need to do to actually build authority, because we know it's worth it. Link building is a shortcut to authority that is often very costly. Actual authority building, actually using Haro the way that it's intended to be used and providing them with actually authoritative and expert statements, putting in the effort to actually make connections with other people in your industry, and then writing a guest post for their blog. Those are all authority building activities that will set you up with a foundation for a long-lasting success. And the next point is that these authority building activities, to some extent, they can be outsourced, and they need to be. There are limitations on your time. You can only create so much content yourself and do all of these other activities. And so if you're at the point in your business that you can and you need to start outsourcing to other people, whether that's bringing on team members, bringing on a freelancer to write some content for you, or outsourcing to a service that knows how to be successful with things like Haro, it's something that you absolutely can and should consider. But anything that you're going to outsource to somebody else, you should make sure that you clearly communicate your expectations, that you clearly communicate the things that you want said or not said. If I had provided them with a much more thorough profile for Anna, they would have more to work with. If I had given them instruction that for certain types of content, I would like them to consult us so that we can provide them with the quote ourselves. And then let them know that, by the way, we promise you that we will turn around. If you send us a message, we'll reply within 30 minutes or an hour. That way we don't slow you down and you can continue forward with your service. We could do that. We could make that happen. And frankly, I think that would be a really valuable improvement for this service itself, to have the option to be able to be contacted about the specific requests that they're approved for, so that we can make sure that the things that we say are on point, they're on brand, they're accurate according to what we would say on our own site, on our own YouTube channels. I think that would make this service substantially more valuable to me. I really want to thank Mark and Adam and the whole Niche Website Builders team for giving me the opportunity to do this case study. I really do think they're fantastic people. They offer so many different services. I just got to show you real quick on here on their website. By the way, this Building Empires event that's happening right now, it's something that you should be watching if you're not. But they have all sorts of services. They write content, they build actual websites for you. You can have them build your website and create content on your behalf. They do other sort of link building. They do guest posts. They do all sorts of outreach, that kind of stuff to help you be more successful. They also have a podcast and a YouTube channel. And frankly, I just can't say enough about just how awesome I think those guys are. And when it comes to a process to actually be successful with Haro, they've got it down pretty well. I'm just really picky about how we go about building authority and making sure that the link building effort isn't really link building, but it's authority building. Honestly, they probably knew they took a little bit of a risk asking me to do this in the first place, knowing my stance on link building, but they did it anyway, and I commend them for that too. So Mark, Adam, Niche Website Builders, all of you, thank you so much for that opportunity. And to all of you watching, I do want to invite you to check out my video about link building. There are a lot of things that you may be doing that I'm okay with you doing, but I want you to shift the mindset away from just getting a link to building authority. And I think if we can do that, we're all gonna be substantially more successful at creating awesome content, building real authority, and making sure that the blogging industry stays successful for many years to come. We'll see y'all next time.